All right, everybody. Good morning. How are you? It's bright and early. I've got my cat Noodle here. I'm Mel Robbins. I'm going to get him out of the screen. Welcome to Mindset Reset. Mindset Reset is a month-long, 30-day live training program where I walk you through all of the science and the amazing tools and strategies that you can use in order to reset your mindset, get rid of negative beliefs, adopt a more positive, confident, calm, focused way of thinking, all using well-researched and proven tools. One of the things that hold on one second, I need to switch my Wi-Fi because apparently the stream is not working very well, but I think that should help. Anyway, if you are not signed up for Mindset Reset, it is free. There is nothing that I'm selling you. There's nothing that you need to purchase. There's no race. There's no test. There's nothing complicated about it. Every single day, I do a live training on social media. We send you an email recap with a link to the live training in case you missed it. We also, let me just make sure. Okay. We also send you free PDFs and additional materials that go along with the free trainings that we're doing. And if you want to get involved in this, you just go to melrobbins.com/mindset reset. That's all that you do. We are in the middle of Anxiety Week, and I'm super excited about this because I'm somebody who has struggled with anxiety for a large part of my life. For more than 2 decades, anxiety was a chronic and debilitating issue for me. I have 2 kids that struggle with anxiety. I know that it is a struggle for many of you. There's a documented rise in anxiety, and so we are spending an entire week talking about tools that you can use to understand anxiety, to break apart the thinking habits in your mind, to catch the triggers, and that's what we're talking about today, the triggers that are triggering you to feel anxious before you even realize that it's starting, and what you can do with science, particularly something called anchor thoughts, to quiet your mind, to settle your body, to stop the agitation, and to get control in a moment where normally you would spin out of control. So today we're going to talk about triggers. If you missed yesterday's training, it's very important that you watch it. So on day 13, we talked about the connection between worrying and anxiety, and how the habit of worrying about things in the future, things that make you feel uncertain, things that are out of your control, things that you shouldn't worry about at all. Oh, here. So interesting, that's a trigger for me. So we're talking about triggers today, and triggers are something unexpected happens when I'm on a live stream. My stomach immediately gets tight. My thoughts don't go, uh-oh, just yet. My body tenses up. And triggers are a very important thing for you to bring out of the woodwork. And the reason why is there are things that happen to you all day long that trigger tense feelings in your body, that trigger your body to remember situations from your childhood that made you feel out of control or anxious or unsafe. It's things that happen that trigger you to start bracing yourself. And so one of the things that we're going to do now that we've already talked about worrying, and we've talked about the connection between worrying and anxiety, and we've talked about the fact that worrying becomes a habit, and it's a habit that you need to break. And if you haven't watched that training, just go to YouTube. It's video number 13, and it's all about the connection between worrying and anxiety. Today, we're going to go a little deeper. So yesterday, I asked you to go through your day and start to notice the things that you worry about. And many of you wrote to us and said that the list was long, and even seeing the list was overwhelming. That's totally okay. We got to get this stuff out of the dark in order to help you fix it and solve the habit of worrying and teach yourself how to be a much more deliberate thinker. Today, let's go a little bit deeper because we did get a question. Danielle, could you put the questions in the text chain, because I could not pull up the email this morning that had the production sheet. We got an email, a comment that was all about worrying yesterday, and I'm not going to remember it directly, but I can paraphrase it. Oh, here it is. Mary Carmen Gamero. That's Mary Carmen Gamero. I'm sorry, I'm so all over the place this morning. Thank you for your patience. It's a crazy morning before I have to get on a plane to San Francisco, and I'm doing this alone, and I'm a little overwhelmed because the kids are starting to get up. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to keep on going. Yes, here it is. Thank you. Martha Lester Smith. This all makes so much sense to me, but I'm struggling with catching myself in the moment and redirecting. I can often look back and see where and when my mind went to the negative, to the worry, but I don't catch myself in the moment. Any suggestions? Martha, that's not uncommon, because the thought pattern of drifting to the future and starting to ruminate and worry about something that's outside of your control or that doesn't matter right now, or an issue or worrying is not going to make an impact. It's such a habit that most of us aren't even aware when our minds are doing it. So this is going to be a new skill. Have patience with yourself. The reason why we're talking about triggers today is because if you have trouble catching yourself in the moment, one of the most effective things that you can do is you can do an audit of your day, and you can identify all of the situations, the people, and the time of days or experiences that you have that trigger you to feel uneasy, or that trigger you to start to worry, or that trigger you to brace yourself. And by going through your day and doing an audit and identifying those moments or times a day where you're tense, or where you're on edge, or where you anticipate that bad things are going to happen, or it's something that you worry about, knowing the triggers in advance gives you a tremendous amount of power, because it allows you to pre-plan what you're going to do in response to that trigger. So let me give you an example. I want you today, here's your homework, to go through your day, and I want you to go step by step by step from the moment you wake up. When are the moments that you worry? What are the situations that you're in throughout your day that trigger you to be tense? And after you go from the moment you wake up to the moment you get into your bed, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go and identify, are there people in your life that trigger you to worry? So, for example, when you wake up, are worries the first thing on your mind? Does just waking up and thinking about your day trigger worry? If so, write about it. Does walking into the kitchen and eating breakfast trigger worry? Are you starting a new eating plan and it's overwhelming and you're doubting yourself? Does the idea of getting out of the house, this was one that was surprising to me, because I don't have this one right now, but in reading so many comments from you as you've been sharing your worries and sharing the things that you struggle with, just getting out of the house is a cause of major distress for many of you. And if that's you, give me a thumbs up or give us a heart so people know that they're not alone. And that was me when Chris and I were facing all of the major issues that we had 10 years ago, from bankruptcy to alcoholism to fighting nonstop, and just starting the day, just getting out of the house. Boy, did that make me brace myself, because it made me have to face the issues that I was dealing with in my life. Does walking into work cause it for you? Does figuring out what you're going to eat for lunch? Does having to make cold calls? Does the work itself that you have to do in your job, your side hustle, your passion project, the book you need to write, does that create worry and anxiety for you? Does heading home from work create? Does being in the school pickup line and being worried about what your kid, like, there are so many moments in your day. A humongous trigger for people is 5 o'clock at night. 5 o'clock at night, when the lights start to get dark. major trigger. And the reason why is many of you grew up in households where there was abuse, you witnessed abuse, you had a parent that was an alcoholic, you had all kinds of tension in your house. And at 5 o'clock, what happens is the light starts to change and people start to come home. People start to drink. And that can be a major, major trigger for people. Major, because your body remembers what it was like to be a kid in a household when an alcoholic parent came home. And so your nervous system, believe it or not, is triggered by the time of day and the light changing and the fact that maybe you're with somebody or you live with somebody that comes home and has a drink. And that gets your mind to go. And so today, all I want you to do is I want you to identify the triggers. And here's why. When we pull the triggers out of the dark, we can teach you how to put a plan in place to respond to them so that you're not triggered and going into autopilot and starting to worry and feel anxious and having no control or idea why. Okay? And we got to break these all apart. Veronica, is it possible to train our minds to forget about a worry so we don't worry? I think it is. I think it is by identifying the worry, by investigating the worry and putting a plan in place to address the reason why you're worrying about it. And then doing the process of constantly resetting your mind to something positive, to something assured. Every time you worry, your mind will get tired of going down that road. Here's a really crazy example. I'm going to tell you, when I was a kid, I used to have this huge worry that when I was walking into a room, I know this is really nuts. This is why I'm not going to watch Bird Box, by the way. I used to have this worry that if I stuck my hand, this is so stupid, stuck my hand into my bedroom to reach around and turn on the light, that if I reached my hand in first, I would visualize a big hairy werewolf hand or an alien hand coming around the corner and grabbing my hand. I know it's crazy, but I had a habit of thinking like that. And I was tortured as a kid. I came up with all of these like rules, like I had to put my shoulder in first and that would make the thing disappear. I know it's nuts. I fought against that and redirected my thoughts, just kind of saying things like, I never, ever, 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 that's never going to happen. Monsters aren't real, blah, 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 blah. I finally stopped thinking it. There are moments in my life as an adult, believe it or not, 10 years later, where I will reach my hand in and that old pattern will occur to me based on some horror movie who's running commercials right now. And I just kind of laugh and I say, monsters aren't real. And I flip on the light and I walk through. So yes, 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 I think through practice, you absolutely can stop your mind from defaulting to a worry. I don't ever worry about getting on a plane anymore. I used to be terrified of it. And it's because I've done the work that I'm teaching you this week in Anxiety Week around my old fear of flying to teach my mind that I don't even worry about this stuff. I don't even think about a plane crashing. I don't think about something going wrong. I literally get on a plane and I watch a movie or I do work and I don't even think about it. If we have severe turbulence, I might start to worry, of course, but then I redirect my mind again. I'm going to give a what's next after we find the trigger. Steve Rogers, excellent question. When you find the triggers, and then we're going to wrap this up for today, but we're going to do a long training tomorrow when I'm in San Francisco. When you find the triggers, I want you to ask yourself, what happened to you that made this a trigger for you? Not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you. Because when you can identify the story like the monsters, or identify that 5 o'clock was when dad came home or mom came home and all hell broke loose in your household, or a teacher called on you in 5th grade and embarrassed you in class. And that's why whenever you're sitting in a meeting at work and they all turn and look at you, you have that moment where your body remembers what it felt like. I want you to try to figure out what happened, because what we're going to do tomorrow is I'm going to take a bunch of your questions, because I know that this is really like kind of new stuff to unpack. And I'm going to start to train you on the science of how we think beyond what you've already learned in videos 1 through 13. And I'm going to teach you the power of what we call an anchor thought, and how noticing the worries, identifying triggers, creating what we call an if-then plan, which involves an anchor thought, which is why I'm going to teach you how to create one for every single thing that happened to you and every single trigger that you have. When you have a go-to anchor thought in place, you now have the formula for changing the structure and architecture of how your mind thinks. How a trigger happens that you don't even realize, which makes your mind start to worry. And as your mind starts to spiral and spiral and spiral and spiral, boom, now your body is all agitated. We're going to cut it off at the trigger. And we're going to stop the worrying. And that means you're never going to get to the state of feeling agitated. And then from there, we're going to redirect you to an anchor thought, which is going to ground you. And we're going to teach you all of that tomorrow. But today, it's really important that you just identify every trigger you got in the situations and ask yourself, what happened that made you have this trigger? That will be plenty. And if you could please, please, please leave in the comments what you're noticing your triggers are. I will address them specifically tomorrow. And I will give all of you specific examples of a trigger and a corresponding story around what happened, like a trigger that anytime you're called on at work, you panic, you freeze, you forget, you have this, and identifying something that happened in school or something that happened as a kid that triggers you to feel insecure in those situations. This is powerful stuff. It builds on itself, and I'm really proud of all of you for being here and for doing the work to change how you think, because when you change how you think, you'll change your life. Now remember, none of this is a substitute for professional help. Don't ever be a hero. Go see a therapist. If a therapist recommends medication, I'm a huge believer in using meds when they work to help you dig yourself out of a hole. I also want to make it clear that what we're talking about is very different than anxiety disorders that are chronic and clinical. We're talking about the generalized anxiety that most people feel in today's world because it is so overwhelming, overstimulating, overprogrammed, that it is tweaking every aspect of how our minds work. And I want to teach you how to get control of that, which is why we're doing Mindset Reset. If you haven't signed up, go to melrobbins.com/mindset reset. You don't have to panic if you can't catch a training live. We email them to you every day. You can always go to YouTube or to Facebook to find the training that you missed. And I think that's it. In case nobody else tells you today, I hope a ton of people tell you today, but in case nobody else does, I want to be the one to tell you that I love you and I believe in your ability to change your life and become a more positive thinker. And, oh, hold on. Okay, sorry. I thought Oak was about to unplug my computer. Sorry, buddy. And let me do that again. I believe in you and I believe in your ability to become a more positive, in control thinker. And I believe in your ability to make your dreams come true by doing little things every single day that give you focus, that make you happier, that make you more confident and in control. And that's exactly why I'm here. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about anchor thoughts. You absolutely do not want to miss this. This is Anxiety Week. It's not too late to get any friends or family members in this course if it will help them. Boy, it's busy here for 7:30 in the morning. And Sarah Van Norden, thank you for telling me that your entire family is doing it together, that your family is talking more, connecting, exercising more, going out. Wow. Eating better and sleeping better. If you told me 2 weeks ago the changes we will have made, I'd have highly doubted it's possible. Thanks, Mel and team. Thank you for telling us. It is possible to change your life. It is possible to change the dynamic in your relationships. It is possible to connect with your kids on a deeper level. And it begins with taking control of what you're thinking about and how you're thinking and teaching yourself how to become a more positive, connected person, because self-awareness, mindset, positivity, it is key. In fact, it's everything. All right, I'll see you later. I got a flight to catch. I got kids to hug and to feed breakfast to, and I got to get going. Bye.